The conversation since last Wednesday, when President Biden said wrongly that Putin has to invade the Ukraine, the conversation is mostly on not if, but when and how far this invasion will go. During the meeting between the foreign ministers of Russia and the United States, Lavrov and Blinken, on Friday, at least the Russian foreign minister said Russia has no intention to invade at all the Ukraine, but we don't know. And it seems that the West agreed at least to provide answers to Putin's demands next week. So I don't think that war is imminent in the next 2 or 3 days, but the threat of war is pretty high. And the discussion is, what are Putin's purposes? Would he just like to use force to connect the Crimean Peninsula with the Donbas region on the eastern frontier of the Ukraine, or he wants, in fact, to topple the government in Kiev and impose pro-Russian leaders there?
Now, so many questions. You bring up the intentions of the Russians here. And on this, coming on the heels of this Blinken-Lavrov summit that took place here just the end of last week, lots of, I'd call it grandstanding by the U.S. on the morals of world affairs, international relations doctrine, etc. But does Russia care? What's your take on what Russia really seeks from this?
First of all, the Ukraine is much more important to Russia than it is for the United States and the West. Russia is complaining about a plan, perhaps, to bring the Ukraine into NATO. Putin demands that NATO commit itself not to let the Ukraine join NATO permanently. And this demand is not acceptable to the West. This is the root cause of the tension there. Obviously, this is a major international crisis that could have severe ramifications for other problems and crises in the world. China may be encouraged to invade Taiwan. The United States and the West are conducting these days negotiations with Iran. So if there was a war, it would have very strong negative influence on the standing of the United States and the West in the world.
And along those lines, looking at the big picture so far, clearly a major test for NATO, but also for U.S. leadership under this Biden administration. What's your grade? How are they stacking up so far?
So this is the problem, I think. Putin feels perhaps that Biden is weak. Last week, there were many reports summarizing his first year at the White House. He has not received good marks for his performance either at home or abroad. He is considered a weak president that has not delivered well on domestic crisis and international crisis. So people are wondering in the United States as well as in other places to what extent he's capable at all of confronting Putin and Russia and perhaps also China on major international issues. But this remains to be seen whether or not he could do that.
And certainly, I left to wonder as well if some of those major international players have already made up their mind and aren't wondering anymore about how strong this president is. We'll stay tuned. Professor Eytan Gilboa, thanks for breaking it down for us.